you would get all kinds of different definitions.
Yes.
And none of them would bring you back to what God's design was.
Right.
And so ultimately, when I look at King Me Ministries, it's almost a compulsion of these men are broken.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really only one solution. And that's for them to understand that they are broken and that only God and his design is going to give them the solution to what they're facing. And so when you look at the name King Me, if you've played checkers before, you know that the idea of checkers is to move one of your pieces all the way down to the other end of the board and then have your opponent say, you say to your opponent, King Me. And they have to put that second piece on top. And when they do that, they're able to move in any direction that they want. They're now one of the most powerful things on that board.
That's right.
So what I see in my world, and I coach football and baseball, and I've coached martial arts for 20 years, is men just, they're not doing that with their boys. And because I'm almost 50, now I'm starting to see those boys now become dads in parts of the community, and they're just walking around and they're making more of a mess of things.
Right.
And they just, somebody needs to love them enough to say, I'll fight for you. I'll take the risk and tell you what God meant when he meant you. Let me empower you. And kind of that's the idea of it. Like, how do we bring a bunch of men around and say, God wants to king you. He wants to empower you to move in any direction. And then how do you say it to dads? Like, Dad, you're the only one that's going to do this to your son. Your wife's never going to be able to say he's a man. Your school teachers aren't going to be able to say it. Most of the coaches that I bump into don't have what it takes to be able to tell my son that he's a man.
Right.
And you guys know this. When a man understands what he was made for and who he was made for, he stops looking around in the world looking for a definition.
That's right.
And he's now empowered. He's solid. He's strong. He's rooted. And he changes his family, which changes his neighborhood, which changes his community, which I believe changes the world. And that's really where King Me Ministries comes from.